Mesachta Menochos Daf Samach Vav Amud Aleph. We're starting from Samach Hey Amud Beis, 10 lines from the bottom. Tanu Rabbanan. Tanu Rabbanan. Today we're going to learn about Sfidas Yema. We're coming. It's Mamish in Yom Yema, and how it's not, how the whole, how we count the Sfidah. It's all important today. It's Mamish. Baruch atah Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvarei. Telling Rabbanim Gelend Penegate Sfidas Yema Svartim Lachem says you should count to you with Lashon Lachem's Lashon Rabbim. What is Lachem coming to teach us? She'tehei Sevira Lechol Ach Ve'achot, that every person is mechuyev to count. So what's the pshat? So there are yesh mefarshim that say the kavanah is that you have to make the halach of Sheimeya Karina, like when somebody wants to be made to you in a bracha and you answer Amen, is Sheimeya Karina. No, it doesn't work that way. Every person is mechuyev individually to count the svira.
So you forgot.
Huh?
So
If you forgot, so if it's the first day and the night, so by day you can count the svira without a bracha.
Sure.
Once you skip it, you can never make a bracha. Acherim will say that even in svira you could be yotzei mechaveirei, but what does he want to say? It's not a mitzvah on the bezin itself. It's a mitzvah on every person individually as well. Okay, Zakti Mara Mimachas HaShabbos. What does it mean, Mimachas HaShabbos? Like, not Mamish Sunday, every Sunday, like the Baitusim had learned. Mimachas Yom Tov, it means the day, this the second day of Yom Tov Pesach. Oh, you thank you, Mimachas Maybe he means, he's going over the Gemara from yesterday. Maybe it's like the Baitusim say, it's supposed to be Dafka Sunday. So the Gemara Rabbi Yisrael Rabbi Yehuda Tisbel Chamish Miyayim says you should count 50 days. Kol Svida Shato Seifer. Any amount that you count, it should only be 50 days. But if you're going to say that you count the Svira only on a Sunday, only on the day after Shabbos, you can find that the Svira should be 51 days. Lamashal, if Friday, if Pesach fell out on Friday, so you're going to have 51 days because you count 50 days from Motzei Shabbos, Sunday, Motzei Shabbos. Here, but if Friday is Pesach, it's 51 days. If it falls out on Thursday, it'll be 52 days because you have to wait till after Shabbos, till Sunday, to start to count. Or if it starts on Wednesday, if it starts on... On a Tuesday it becomes more, 54. If it's on a Monday, it's 55. If it's Chamish Meshish, if it starts the first day of Pesach, it's on Sunday, you have to wait a whole week till after Shabbos, for the first week to happen, and it will be 56 days. And it says from the second day of Pesach till Shmuis is supposed to be 50 days, and there you don't count Svida till a week later. It would be 56 days. So therefore we know it doesn't mean Machas HaShabbos. It has to mean the second day Yom Tov. Rabbi Yehuda say, I don't need that proof. The proof that we just brought from Rabbi Yisrael, Rabbi Yehuda. Harei Uema. It says in the pasuk Tisper Loch. Loch is B'lashon Yach. It teaches us Shesvida Tluya B'Bezin. Svida is totally in the way Bezin establishes which day does the Yom Tov fall out on. And from this that it says Mimachas HaShabbos Tisbelach, it says Tisbelach. So it has to be dependent on the Bezdin's count. Yatzah Shabbos Bereishis. But if it's not dependent on the Bezdin's calculation, you're saying it's Sunday. Sunday is Azach from Shesh Mei Abreishis. Shesviras B'chol Adam. That you don't need to ask Bezdin. Everybody knows when Sunday, the day after Shabbos, is Sunday. So when it says Tisbalach, it's dependent on Bezdin. Not always will it come out on a Sunday. It will come out on a different day. Whenever they establish the Yom Tov should be. Rabbi Yosi Mimachas HaShabbos. What does it mean, Mimachas HaShabbos? Mimachas Yom Tov. It means the second day of Pesach. Mimachas Yom Tov. Mimachas Shabbos B'Reishis. You're saying Mimachas Yom Tov. Maybe it means Sunday. So the Gemara Marta, you could say that if you're saying it means Sunday, But you're saying it means Machzah Shabbos or Pesach. How do you know? If you learn like the Baitusim learn the words as is. And since it says just Machzah Shabbos and it doesn't say which one, it doesn't say in Pesach. So Chinema Machzah Shabbos Pesach, that to know which Shabbos is referring to, it only says Machzah Shabbos. According to the Baitusim, it can mean any Shabbos. It doesn't have to be in Pesach, because it just says Machzah Shabbos. So the Gemara, since the Kol Hashana Kula B'leia Shabbos is, say over there, case of Shabbos, since the whole year is filled with Shabbosim, it's impossible to know which Shabbos he was referring to. So surely the Torah wasn't referring to the Machzah Shabbos of Sunday, Stama Sunday. He meant Lemachzah Shabbos means the second day of Yom Tov. That's the only way you can learn Pshat. But Rabbi Yossi brings now another raya, not just from this that it says Machzah Shabbos. He says there's Gzeda Shabbos, like we had before. Shabbos Lamata. It's Nemra Shabbos Lamata. It says by the Shtei Alechem Shabbos, V'Nemra Shabbos Lamayla, and it says by the Omer Shabbos. And Ma'ala Halan, just like by the Shtei Alechem Regel Utchilas HaRegel. It means that you bring the Shtei Alechem on the first day of Yom Tov. Are you going to say Shavuos is only one day Yom Tov? But we said the Shivas Yimei Tashlumim, that you can bring the Shtei Alechem, the Karbonis. And that's why Mizak Nishkin Tachnun till Yud Beis, because you have Hashlama. Says the Gemara Havkan. So just like over there means the first, right away, Havkan by the Shabbos that says by the Omer, Regel at Chilas Regel, it means the Yom Tov right at the beginning. It doesn't mean the next week later. That we eat matzahs only for 6 days. And another pasuk it says we eat for 7 days. So how many days do we eat? 6 or 7? Okay, so says
we eat 8 days.
Yeah, but gebracht even let's the talk. So how's a child should be 6 or 7? It says matzah shiata yochel la'oichle shiva is min hachodesh. Chodesh, the new tfuah, we can't eat the first day because we can't start eating for the new tfuah only after you cut the eimer, noch an eimer. So it's 6 days. So there ata yochel shisha. Then you can eat it for 6 days. That makes sense. And what does it mean? 7 days. 7 days means from the Tvoya Yeshena, from the Alta Tvoya, Kemenasin, 7 days matzah. From the Tvoya Chadash, only the 6 days, from after the Ktsira of the Eimah. But that can only make sense if you count the Eimah always from the second day of Yom Tov. But if you're going Machzah Shabbos could be Yom Tov Shalachrein. It could be the last day, so it could be even. So there's no
a week later.
A week later, so there's no shisha yom that you can eat matzahs. How's a child shisha yom has matzahs all the time? With the shisha yom, it has to be because it's the second day of Yom Tov. That's after the K'tzis Ha'ima from the Chadash. We can eat for 6 days. So the Gemara it says, "Miyoyim havi achem." This is a new Indian. Different additional pratim we're going to talk about, but again the Hakavas Ha'ima, new details. It says, "Meyoim havi achem tisperu." From the day that you bring the omer, that's when you should start counting the omer. Yachol yikzer v'yavei. I would have thought you cut it for, and then immediately you bring it after. This all happens on the second day of Pesach. And whenever he wants, he can start counting. Meaning, it says, "Meyoim havi achem," from the day that you bring it. That means from this day and on, you're already fit to be able to count. Doesn't say you have to count.
It could be a few days later.
It could be you start counting a few days later. So the Talmud Lema, no, it says Mahachel.
Beginning.
Mahachel Chemesh. No, it doesn't mean Hachel, the governor. Mahachel from the beginning of cutting Hachel. What's the name of the governor? Hachel. Yeah. Anyway, Mahachel. From when you start Chemesh to cutting the tfuah, bakama in the standing tfuah, tachel is right away. Then you should start counting. You can't start. You don't bring the imah and then now we're fit to count. We can count whenever we want. No,
I relax now.
No, there's no relaxing. Right from Mehachel. Okay, so you mother even
Harvesting?
from the cutting of the tfua with a sickle. That's harvesting, yeah. E says you want to if mehachal chermesh tachal isber yachal yikzer. I would have if it's from the beginning of the time that you cut, I would have thought you cut the tfua of the ima the next day of Pesach yisber, and you count from that day. Ve'masa sheyitzer yavi esaima, and when he wants, he can bring the ima. Meaning he doesn't have to bring the ima right away. It says over here that mehachal chamesh, from when you begin to cut it, that's when you start counting. So I would have thought, yeah, cutting, but the actual bringing of the ima, you can bring whenever you want. Says, you want to know?
So you have to cut and count at the same time.
You have to
right?
cut,
And start
count
counting.
right away, and you have to bring it right away also. I would have thought you could bring whenever you want. So he tells me, Yoim Aviyachem, it means
When you bring it,
from Yoim Aviyachem Tisperu. It means from that same day that you're counting, that's the day that you have to bring it.
so why is it?
So you have to bring it from the day that it's the Yom Hava. So the Yom Hava, even though you count the night before, that's Mitzat Mimais. But it has to be of that day, the night going to that day. So he has to bring the tour that day. Zok Yomara I mi Yom Haviyachem, and the Brisa continues. If I would only have the pasuk mi Yom Haviyachem es Oima, so Tispu, that's when you should count from the day that you bring it. So why do you have to have Mehachal Chermesh? He says no. Yachal Yiksa v'Yisper v'Yavi b'Yom. I would have thought everything has to happen by day. I would have thought he cuts and he brings and he counts. Everything is in the day,
Same day.
the same day. No, not by night. By Yom, I would have thought it's by night. That's why the pasuk says Tmimais.
It has to be,
We need this additional pasuk. I made a mistake. I didn't mean to say we didn't need Hachachamesh. We explained we need Hachachamesh. Shevesh Shabbos is Tmimais. Why do we need that pasuk? To Yana, Shevesh Shabbos is Tmimais. When do you have complete weeks? Bezman Shata Maschil Limleis Me'arev. Miba Erev. Only when you start
But
counting
not
from the
during
night
the day.
before.
Not-
No, once it's during the day, it's not the Shlemus. I remember Rabbi Weinberg used to flex coming down in the Ma'ariv over here during the Sfir he used to down by Getzel.
Right.
Friday night. Flex was verspätet. Don't go late. You have to have Shlemus, Tmimis. We should have Ma'ariv Bismanam so that the Svida should be right away, so it should be Tmimis. Anyway, Yachal Yikzer.
He's afraid that the Yochels have a Kalben.
Nur die erste Nacht, nicht die andere Nacht.
Huh? Jede Nacht, muss sein, in der Nacht mit dem Vater.
Wie können wir das machen?
Aber es kommt bei Nacht. Kann sein 10 Uhr für sich rechnen. Das ist auch.
You could still, yeah, but Tmimes is the beginning of the night. You want it to be a full day, right from the sun goes
By
down.
the time to down
To the Meyer, that would be a full Tmima.
Even though you could.
Yeah, you could go, the whole night you could. The morning you already can't make a bracha.
But I'm just figured.
Yeah. Yachal Yikzer, Vegam Yavi, I would have thought you could cut and also bring the Yispa Balayla. So I would have thought you could also bring the Imam by night. And you do the cutting and bring it and then count. So no, the bringing is dafka Meyoim Haketzad, Tzir Svira Balayla. The cutting and the counting is by night. But the actual bringing is by day, like it says in the pasuk, Meyoim Haviyachem. From the that means in the day it has to be brought. Amar Rava. Rava said, Kulu. All these Tanoim that slugged up the Baitusim, their psukim that they slugged up the Baitusim, Islu Pircha. We could slug up their svaris. It's not. We could slug up these Tanoim who answered. It's not such great svaris. Okay, so he's telling you here, bar mitate Tanoi basay baby maslisa kamaisa baby maslisa basaisa, except for the last two Tanoim of the first and second Baraisas. The last little pircha. All the other Tanoim, the Gemara says we could slug it up. It's not really such a strong upslug what they brought. Their svaris. Can us
He
upslug?
didn't like it too much.
That's what Rava says. I can slug them all up except for two. two.
He's allowed to start up with the tonight.
Rava, yeah. The Rava.
Rava was a Tana? No, it was a
No,
Meira.
it says a Rav Tanahu Polik. Rava was an Ameda.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he says.
So how do you Meira fight with your Tanaim?
He says, except for the last two
It
Tanaim.
says we could. It doesn't say that.
He's not slugging up, but he says,
Well,
I'm going to show you a pich on them. But the last two Tanaim, ich hab nicht. I can't slug them up. Says, you want to eat with Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. You remember Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says, it says Chamishim Yoim. It's mashma that the Sfira is totally in days, not in the weeks, right? So, so it's not machas, it's not Shabbos, it's Tmimis that has to start from Sunday. You count whenever the 50 days are. Says the Gemara, so Shlakt up Rava, Dilma Kidabaya. Maybe the mentioning the Yamim and the weeks. Why does it say Tisbu Chamishim Yoim? To tell you Damabai Mitzvah Lemimne Yoimei or Mitzvah Lemimne Shavuot.
Both.
We say it.
Yeah,
We say Hayom Yachad when it comes to the first week. It's Shavuot Achad. It's Achteg. Hayom Shiva Yom Laim. Hayom Shiva Yom Laim. Shavuot Achad. Hayom Achad or Shavuot Achad. Hayom Achad.
Not the same thing.
Yeah, after the 7 days, 8 days, you say it's 1 week and 1 day. So you count both. So the Gemara, so that's why you had to mention Tishbu Chamishim Yoim. It doesn't mean to tell you it's not. It doesn't start from. It means 7 complete weeks. The reason why he's saying Yom to tell you when you count, you have to have both.
So Yom's not right that you start right.
Then
away.
you start right. Second day of Yom Tov, right? Even the Rabbi Elazar, Rabbi Yeshua, they said that what. From this that it says in the beginning that Bezdin would calculate the Chodesh, right? They would count 29 days, and the next day would be Yom Tov, right? Chodesh. It says B'nai Yomim. It says B'nai Yomim by the 49 days of Svida, which is mashma that the next day, right away, it says totally in the days before. So if it's totally in the days before, it could only be from the second day of Yom Tov. We count from the second day of Yom Tov till Shavuos, 49 days, right? So Minei means it's totally in the days before for Shavuos. So if it's totally in the days of before, so when Shavuos is, so you're counting 49 days from the second day of Pesach.
It's not 50.
It's the 50th day. I mean, it's the 50th day. So Mashain came. But if you would say no, it's totally in the Sunday after the Shabbos, so it's more than 50 days.
51.
It could be even 56. So it says, how do you know that Shavuos is supposed to be from the first night, meaning the second night of Pesach? Maybe it's the Yom Achron of Pesach. That's when we start counting. So you have no proof. And now they have Shmuel and Rabbi Yehuda ben Seda, who they proved that it says of the beginning of the Yom, the Hainu Machs Hayom Arish Shal Pesach, Les Lahu Pircha. He says because it says that just like Shavuos, it has to be at the beginning of Yom Tov, right? The Sfira starts always at the beginning of Yom Tov, just like by Shavuos it's at the beginning of Yom Tov. So too here, the Sfira has to be at the beginning of the Yom Tov. So less lupicha, that we can't slug up. Says Gemara Imad Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda that he said it says Tisbu Chamishim Yom. So we said it can only be 50 days. So the only 50 days it could be is to Shavuos is from the 16th day of Nisan. Maybe it means 50 days, not including the 6 days of Yom Tov. Maybe it means you count after. So and even Rabbi Yehuda ben Seda, and if you're going to learn like Rabbi Yehuda ben Seda, that he says that the Chodesh is, it says Loch, is totally in the Kviyas Bezdin, right? Says the Gemara, how do you know the Kviyas Bezdin is going on the first day of Yom Tov? Maybe the Kviyas Bezdin is there to tell you that you count from these Yom Tov Achrein.
He's saying the same thing as before. In other words, you look at the
No,
last
now
day.
we're talking about Bezin Tisper Loch. You calculate. What are they calculating? So he says they're calculating which Shabbos it should go from. It should go from the Shabbos, from the Yom Tov Achrein, they could say. Rabbi Yossi Nami Chazlei Lepircha. Says Gemara, Rabbi Yossi also he could slug up. You mean the first raya of Rabbi Yossi. That he said that it says Menochos HaShabbos, and he didn't say which Shabbos of the year. So Menochos HaShabbos, if it says Menochos HaShabbos, and if you're learning by Tusim, you have to learn the words as is. So Menochos HaShabbos that has nothing to do with Yom Tov. It can be any Menochos HaShabbos. So how do you know it's going on Pesach?
So you can pick any time you want to count?
To count, yeah. But
Make sure.
according to the Baitusim, if you're supposed to learn Menochos HaShabbos has nothing to do with Yom Tov, it's just a mean
It has
Sunday.
nothing to do with the Pesach.
Has nothing to do with Pesach, right? It doesn't say B'Seich HaPesach. It can mean any Sunday. But I know the Ka'ama, that's the reason.
As long as Shabbos in the middle. Shabbos,
You can count any Shabbos, so yeah. So it cannot be Shabbos with Ashes. So he says, "V'hainu dekama." That's the reason he says v'oid. He brought another echacha that proves that the Sfira always starts at the beginning of the Yom Tov. Like we find, it's either like the Gisei Shabbos. It says Shabbos by Shavuos, by the Shtei Halachim, and the Shtei Halachim has to be the first day, and it says Shabbos, Menochos HaShabbos, by the Sfira. So just like there, the Menochos HaShabbos is the beginning of Yom, the first day of Shavuos, not in the Shivas Yimei HaTashlumim. So too, the Menochos HaShabbos that says by Pesach means the first day of Pesach. So that's that raya he cannot slug up. That's why he said the ve'oid. Because Mitzvah Menochos HaShabbos, you could say it goes on the Yom Tov Achrein. The first answer that Rabbi Yossi gave is not so strong. Menochos HaShabbos can mean any week. So he says, no, Menochos HaShabbos can mean Yom Tov Achrein also, you're right. And that's what he wants to slug up, and that's why he says the Gzeir Shabbos, Shabbos, Rabbi Yossi. Compared to Azevi by Shavuos, by the Shtei Halachim, it says Menochos HaShabbos, and it means the first day of Yom Tov. So too by Svira, where it says Menochos HaShabbos, it means the beginning of Yom Tov. Gufa Memfri Gelent. Abaya. Abaya said mitzvah lemimnei yomei or mitzvah lemimnei shavua. It's a mitzvah to count in the Omer side the days and side the weeks. Okay. Again, there's a machlekes b'chlal. If Svira today is midaraisa or midarabanan, but even though we say it's midarabanan, but there are Rishonim that say we should count like it was in the time of the Raisa, that they counted the days and the week. So Rabbanan, Devei Rav Ashi, Manu Yemim, Manu Shavua. The Chachmei, the Chachamim of the Beis Medrash of Rav Ashi counted the days and the weeks.
Like we do now.
V'ameima Manu Yemim, V'loi Manu Shavuai. Ameima counted the days, but he didn't count the weeks. Why? Because he says the Sfiras Ha'ayim of Zman Hazeh, where the Beis Hamikdash was Charev, and we're not making the Minchas Ha'ayim. He says Zeich LaMikdash. So we're only doing it Zeich LaMikdash. Mitzat Zeich LaMikdash, we can count the days without the weeks. In the Mikdash Hatim Getan, the days and the weeks, but we do the days and the weeks together.
But the evidence would be okay if we just counted the days and you don't have.
According if it's Zeich LaMikdash L'Cheira, yeah, according to that Mandama. But here they say you're supposed to do it. Min hagenu lispei b'chol yom gam es mispah yom gam es mispah hashavuos.
Een hartschool wees met een zegel.
Huh?
Een hartschool wees met een zegel.
On
Een hartschool wees met een
yeah. But here he brings down the others that don't count the week only when it comes to the week, when it's the end of the week. But we count the days in the week after the 8th day, and now we count the days in the week also. And Pashut, the reason they give it should because we're doing it like it was in the time of the Beis Hamikdash. Okay, Zok the Mishnah Tzaruhu ve'unesanuhu be'kupes, if they cut it and they placed it in the boxes ve'havi'u la'azara, and then they brought it into the azara.
The same day, every same day.
No, we said the tzira. There was then they had the svira, and then they brought the oimer. So they put it in boxes. They brought it to the azara. havin oise ba'ur, and they would singe it with a fire. They would burn it a little bit with a fire. Kedei lekayim by mitzvahs koli, in order to be mekayim das this that it says in the pasuk koli ba'eish, it should be roasted in a fire. Divrei Rameya, those are the words of Rameya. Chameimim bikonim, the way that you would take it out, you would take it out with soft sticks, ubekeilaches, or with the leaves of a cabbage, of a chayvten they say, and they would bang the stalks to take out the kernels from the stalks before they roasted it. Kedei shelo yismach, in order that it soll nicht verquetscht werden. So they used a soft stick. If they would use a hard stick, they would smash the kernels. So they used a soft stick. And then after that, after they took out all the kernels, they put it into a keli, which is duchyelachet, which had holes in them. Why? Because the fire should be able to burn a little bit, the kernels. This is the keli. Menochos was duchyelach that had holes in it. So the fire should be able to burn it. After it was burnt a little bit, they put it out in the field, and the wind would blow on it, and then it would become hard. And they placed it in a millstone that only grinded big pieces. Why? Why do they only grind big pieces? Because if you would take it in a grinder and you would grind it into like a powder, you would have the sholachs mixed in it. It would be impossible to take out the sholachs. So they grind it in a big one that had big pieces, and later on you can take off the shells because it's grinded in big pieces. If you remember, we took 3 yisodin or 5 soyin, and we sifted it 13 times till we got minamufcha 1 saw. That's all you needed. What did they do with the leftover? You only needed 1 saw, and you used the minimum 3 saw. So what do you do with the other 2 saw? Nivda, you redeem it. Menachel choladam, and everybody could eat it. V'chai v'chala. Normally, if it's hegdish is teg, dough, there's no challah. But here, it was nivda before, while it was still kernels. So he chayv and challah. It wasn't challah yet. It wasn't dough yet. Abel patim in amaisa. He's patim in amaisa because when does it become a chayv and maisa? Even when it's kernels, but if he smoothens out the pile, that's already right when it gemach miruach. If he did the smoothing out the pile of all the kernels, that's already when you chayv and maisa. And that was in the time when Haggadah still had it, so they were part of a maisa. But when they made it into dough, he already was paid it. It was his own, so he's chayv b'challah. Rabbi Akiva mechayv b'challah b'maisis. Rabbi Akiva is mechayv say challah b'say maisis. Tell me Rabbanim Yolant. Aviv, the first tzvur, the first fatke tzvur, zel aviv. That's the reishis echtzir that you cut. You first cut that, koli ba'esh, and you toast it in the fire. Malamit. So you saw mehav havin ois ba'esh. Comes to tell you that the Yisrael would singe, burn, toast the kernels. Kedei lekayim by mitzvahs keli. In order to be mekayim koli ba'esh, that should be singed in the fire. Divrei Rab Meir. Chacham say, ein ur b'lashon keli ela davar acher. He says that you can't just take the kernels itself to burn it. It has to be through a kli. And through a kli, and you burn it through the kli. But it cannot. Like a mesh. Yeah, but you can't take the kernels itself and put it on the fire. That's one shot. The lashon kli means through a davacha, through something else. That's how you burn it. Another shot, ein l'shlein kli el davar kol. L'shein kli means something that blishtet, something that shines. What shines? A keli, a new keli. Of a copper keli shines. Aluminum. Here he says copper nechoshes. Yeah, so it shines. So that's how we know it has to be done through a keli. So you want haketzad abuv shel kloyes hayasham. He said haketzad. How was it? They had an abuv shel that keli they had of nechoshes that they used for those that sold kloyes, those that sold the roasted beans or roasted kernels. and it was had holes like a sieve. Kidei sheyehei ha'or she'letz b'kulei. In order that the fire,
A zip.
right? Like I said, but it was a hard keli. It was a hard keli, and it burnt it. Aviv koli gerish. It says the first tvua roasted, and gerish means grinded. Ein yedei aviv koli. I don't know if the aviv was koli, and or im gerish koli, or if there was grinded gerish koli, or if the grinded pieces were koli. But he says I could tell you it was the aviv, only the tvua was koli, not if there was grinded before, because kishoema ba'eish, it says koli ba'eish, and then it says aviv koli ba'eish, and then it says gerish. Sorry. Then it says Geras. You have paper towels?
Oh, yeah, bring paper towels in there.
Then it says Geras. Okay, so you know that as grinded, it wasn't right over here. Okay, as Geras, it wasn't. He's telling you, it wasn't burnt. Carmel says the Gemara. What does carmel mean? You break up the word carmel into two words: rach, soft. Umol, and you could crush it easily. That's how karma works. Okay, v'cheinu amen. So it says the Gemara v'cheinu amen. Where do we find that you break up words and you make it into a whole bunch of words? V'ish ba mibal shalisha. There was a man that came from the city of Shalisha. V'yav leisha lekim, and he brought to Hashem to the Navi lachem bikurim. Esim lachem seirim, 20 breads of seirim, a carmel bitzikloina, vayeme hetelam v'yachelu. It's Elisha, it's going on Elisha. Elisha brought all this to, and he said, give it to the people, to the other Nevi'im, that they should have what to eat. So you break up the word, tzikloina is broken up like this. V'yatzak is the Lashon from the tzaddik of tzikloina, and then lanu, is the lamit, lanu ve'achalna the vav, and the nun vav is v'navahaya, and it was beautiful. Another place where we break up the words is by the words of the Yetzer Hara, which is like a zoina, and she's trying to convince the man to sin with her. Nisalsa ba'avid. What is nisalsa? Nisa nitan. She says, let's just talk, have a conversation. The Naila, and then we'll go up. V'nismach, and we'll go up into the bed.
Which one do you golden bed?
Oh, very good.
Celebrate.
V'nismach, and we'll be joyous. And then v'nischatek ba'havim, and then we'll do the sin with some other side.
And then was it?
So the salsa, the nun is nisa, and the ayin is oila, and the ches is v'nischata. So you see, you broke up the words. And we find by Iyov, it says knaf ridanonim ne'alasa. Ne'alasa is noisa oila v'nischata. When this bird wants to take its egg, it doesn't put it on the ground. Only it carries it in its stomach, and it goes to a special nest, and over there he drops the egg.
Nobody should break it.
Nobody's yet. And we find by the words of the Malach to Bilam, that Bilam was hitting his donkey because the donkey didn't want to move because it saw the Malach HaMavis. So it says, Ki Yorat Haderech Lenegdi. Yorat means that he saw the Malach with a sword against
He
him.
got nervous.
So what is Yorat? Yorasa. The donkey wasn't afraid. Rasa, not so. She saw, the donkey saw the Malach HaMavis with the Cherev, and the not so she turned to the side. Okay, wait, Rabbi Yishmael Tana, in the basement of Rabbi Yishmael, they learned.
That's why I see his foot was.
He became lame because his foot was squeezed against the leg on that. So you see, you could take a word and break it up into a whole bunch of words. So that's how Carmel works. Rabbi Yishmael Tana, he learns different the pshat, how you break up the word Carmel. Till what now we said rach umol, soft and easy to crush. Now he learns Carmel, like a full pillow of feathers. That means that the stalk is, the tvua is already completely full and ready. How do you say ripe? Okay, Rabbi Akiva Mechayev B'Chalom Ma'ases. Rabbi Akiva was Mechayev Sayin Chal and Sayin Maises. I'm Rabbi Kahana. I'm Rabbi Akiva. Meiruach. The smoothing the tfuah in the shus of Hegdish Einet Peter doesn't part him from Maisa, even though the smoothing of the pile happened in Hegdish, because it says the Gancha and it's not your Dagon when it was Meiruach. Rabbi Akiva doesn't learn the Gancha, this Pirush of the Gancha. Masay Hashesh is the Shayla from the Braisa. It says Moisa, the leftover from the Shalish Soin Halal, because they only used one saw. So they asked, what did they do with the other two saw? Like we said, it's mamish the same words. It was redeemed and it was eaten by everybody. Because it's his. The tag, it was made in the private rishus, but the maises, the miruach happened in the rishus of Hegdish. That's why it's part min maises. Rabbi Akiva mechayev v'chalav v'maises. Amalei, so the Chum said to Rabbi Akiva, "Apoyed b'yad gizbar." Somebody who redeems tvua b'chal any time. Yichiach that you're wrong. Shu chayv v'chalav part min maises. That you're chayv and chal and you are part min maises. How could it be chayv? He said the miruach Hegdish in it paita. If you're going to say the meruach, the smoothing of the pile by Hegdish doesn't part the Hegdish from, it doesn't part of the yachid who buys it from Maisa, it's my kamele. So why did Chacham say to Rabbi Akiva that somebody who's paid the stam tvua, this is mamish this case. He should be. It's mamish the same case of where there was meruach in Hegdish and Rabbi Akiva is still saying it's chayiv. So it has to be because of a different reason. We'll soon see why. It says Rabbi Akiva mechayev b'chalo b'maises. Rabbi Akiva was mechayev on the rest of the two saws, sayin chalo and sayin maises. Why? The miruach happened in Hegdish. He says because those two sayin were always the yachid's sayin. Because he only gave the money for one saw for the minchas, that's all you needed. And there was two saw that was left. Those Maisa is not Hegdish because he wasn't giving three, he was only giving one. So he says, only for the chelik that they need. And how much did they need? One. So the other two was always his, and that's why he's chayv on the Maises. That he heard from his Rav, Rabbi Akiva heard from his Rav, they only gave money for the one saw, for the Eimah. The other two saw was always private, and that's why he's chayiv even for the Maises, even though the Meruch happened in Hegdish. The Meruch Hegdish Paita is a pashta zach when if the smoothing happened in Hegdish and belonged to Hegdish, it wouldn't be chayiv Maisa. Rabbi Akiva like chayiv hasam. Over there, you're not chayv ma'isa. El shalei nitnu. Here, you're only chayv by the meisa ima because el shalei nitnu ma'isa el tzedem. Here, you're chayv because you only gave for one saw. Av meruch hegdish ba'alma. But when it comes to meruch hegdish, that's something that belongs to hegdish, and hegdish made the smoothing of the pile. Paita is part of the ma'isa. Sagt the Rav meruch ha'ivit kecham tanoihi. The meruch of a goy. If a goy does the meruch, the smoothing. So it's machliks of Tanoim. The time that we learned in the Braisa, Toimim Perish Yisol, Al Perish Yisol. You could take from Perish of Yisol Truma for other Perish of Yisol. We Perish Al Evdicham, Al Shal Evdicham. When Perish Al Kusim, Al Shal Kusim.
You can't mix it.
Or Perish Al Koil, Al Shal Koil. And either one, you could mix it. Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda, because Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda both hold that even the Miruach of a Goy is Mechoy V'Maisa. Rabbi Yosef and Shimon, yeah, because it is, and therefore, since the Mechuy Ma'aser, so it does part it. You tell them from one on the other. Rabbi Yosef and Shimon, no, tell me shall Yisrael, shall Evdichavim al shal Kusim, shall Kusim al shal Evdichavim, avaloi me shall Yisrael al shal Evdichavim, v'shal Kusim, v'loi me shall Evdichavim shal Kusim al shal Yisrael, because the Yisrael Miruach is midaraisa mechuyev ma'aser, and it has to be on the same level. By goyim and kusim was I nishken geder yemes. The Rashi says they're not true gedim; they're like goyim. There when they do miruach is only midrabbanan that you mechuyev ma'aser. So it's not the same level. So they cannot do it. Yisrael cannot be term truma for the truma of a goy kusim, and a goy and kusim cannot take off truma for a yid.